Good evening, I'm Jackie Sharman, the proud principal of Weydon School. We hope you've had the opportunity to look at the videos, but if not, the videos are on our website and you can view them post this Q&A session. I'm going to pass you over to Tom Jackson, our assistant principal, who's going to chair the Q&A this evening.
Thank you, Jackie, and good evening, everyone. Welcome. Can I start with a couple of housekeeping points? So first of all, can you start by selecting speaker view so that you just have the big screen, one speaker. Then can you turn your microphones off? And then once you've done that, can you also switch your videos off? Thank you very much. And obviously, being a Q&A, we're going to use the chat function today. So if you have got any questions, please use that chat function. I think on a laptop, it's on the bottom right corner. Alternatively, on other devices, I think you select more, and then you should find the chat function. We've had some great questions so far this evening, but yours would be much, much appreciated. Now, to begin, I'd like to start by introducing the fine panel of people I have around me. So to start with, I have Jackie Sharman, our principal. I have the first of our two deputy principals, Louise Needham. The second of our deputy principals, Matt Benton. Our assistant principal and director of Key Stage 3, Sally Bowden. And the Weydon admissions officer, Liz Crosby. Thank you. I'll now make a start, and I'm going to use one of the questions from earlier just to give you guys time to get your questions into the chat function. So one of the great questions we had earlier was an admissions question, and it's for Liz Crosby. It was, how do I apply for a school place and when is the deadline? And I'll pass that over to Liz.
Thank you, Tom. The application window is now open. It opened on the 1st of September and it closes on the 31st of October. You make your application via your home local authority. Surrey residents apply through Surrey County Council and Hampshire residents apply through Hampshire County Council. Parents are notified of their allocated school via their home local authority on the 1st of March next year. Thank you, Tom.
Cheers, Liz. And the next one's for Sally Bowden, and it's, what's the normal transition process?
So, Tom, we start off by working with our partner schools, and we go out to them and do an assembly for the students that are joining Weydon School. It's normally me that does that assembly, but I'm never alone. I take along with me some students, Weydon students that used to go to that partner school, which makes it feel nice for the Year 6 students because they recognise their faces and they feel free to ask them questions about what it's really like to be a student at Weydon. We then have our induction days in end of June, beginning of July, where students come to us for 2 whole days to really understand what the Weydon experience is like. They get to meet the rest of their tutor group and their form tutors and spend a lot of time in activities that are designed to help them to get to know each other, to get them to know the school site. And then they also have a selection of lessons during the 2 days. And we tend to run our first ever interform competition between different tutor groups and between the 2 colleges. And then we follow that up with a parents' evening where parents come along and get to meet the progress and achievement leaders, or PALs, and their child's own tutors. And we often find that students don't want to go back to their primary schools once they have spent 2 days with us. But we look forward to seeing them when they join us in September.
Thanks, Sally. And this is now a question for Louise Needham. It's from a parent. My child has special educational needs. Who do I talk to about his or her needs? Louise.
Thank you, Tom. We have a very large SEND department. We have 3 SENCOs and over 18 LSAs that support children with their learning. What we would ask is that if you've been offered a place at Weydon, sooner rather than later, get in touch with our SENCOs and start giving us information about your child so that we can make their transition process as smooth as possible. So if they have any HCP or any special plans that would support them in their learning in the classroom, let us know sooner rather than later. Now, obviously you're making your decisions at the moment. So if you would like to talk to one of our SENCOs, you can book a one-to-one Zoom appointment through the SEND department at Weydon School, so that you can discuss your individual child and their needs to see what we can do to support them. Thank you, Tom.
Cheers, Louise. And this is a question for Jackie now. Will there be any opportunities for students or parents to visit the school safely, Jackie?
Well, I hope that in the new year that there might be an opportunity for students and parents to visit us. I think at this current moment in time, won't be happening, but I'm hoping that maybe there'll be a vaccine or something will happen and the virus will go down in numbers and therefore we'll be able to hold an event. But at this current moment in time, and I'm afraid, no, there isn't. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Our next question comes from a student, a year 5 or 6 student, and we love having these. So I saw Matt posted something on the chat. If you are a student and you're joining us this evening, we'd love to hear you, love to give you a little shout out. So this one's from Tommy. Welcome, Tommy. And he wants to know, will there be school trips available? Oh, massive question, Tommy. I'm going to pass that over to Jackie Sharman.
Okay, Tommy, a really lovely question. We have lots of trips. It starts in year 7 where we do a team bonding trip to Avon Tyrrell. We have, at the end of the year, we always have activities week for every year group, and there's a multitude of different trips. So Science Museum, trip to London, water sports, all sorts of things. In year 8, we do a residential trip. It has been for a number of years at Tile Barn down in the New Forest, but this year we are unable because of COVID, we couldn't run the trip, but we were going to take year 8 to France and do an activities adventures trip, but also tie into the wonderful experience of the battlefields. But in upper school, we have a multitude of trips. So Europe for the languages, history, Berlin, geography, go to Iceland and Sicily. We've had music tours to Lake Garda and Paris, sports tours to this country, Europe, Australia, South Africa, New York is another trip, Florida for science. The list goes on and on and on. So there's lots and lots of opportunities to go on residentials if you join Weydon School. Thank you. Great question.
Thanks, Jackie. The next one is, do all departments offer extracurricular clubs? Should our children develop a particular interest in any subject, will they have the chance? I'll take that one. So we have a huge range of extracurricular clubs. Almost every department, I think every department offers clubs, and even more than just what we offer at school. So within school, we have Great Debate Club, where we're pushing that side. We have Science Club. We have Warhammer Club. And then on top of that, we've got all of our sports clubs and teams and our creative subjects, loads and loads of clubs. So it would take all evening to answer that question fully. But yes, we have a huge variety, and we'd love children to get involved in as many as possible. The next question is for Sally. And this is, in what year do the children choose and start their GCSE subject, Sally?
Thanks, Tom. So our students are in Key Stage 3 for 2 years, year 7 and 8. And across those 2 years, they cover a very wide range of subjects. And then at some point in year 8, they choose what 4 options they're going to do at GCSE level, alongside English, Maths, Science, PE, and PSHE lessons. They would then start their GCSE subjects at the start of year 9. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Sally. Liz, this is an admissions question. There's 2 similar ones, actually, so I'll answer this and hopefully it covers both. 3 years ago, the catchment area was very small. This was because of a lot of siblings. Do you envisage the same problem in 2021 for that intake?
We don't this year. We at the moment, our indications are that there won't be as many siblings as there were 3 years ago.
That's brilliant. And then the second part of that, or the second question, was my child's in a feeder school, one of the 6 feeder schools, but they live out in Farnham. Are they likely to get into Weydon if they've put this school as their first choice?
Thank you, Tom. The number of students we're able to take each year into Year 7 is 330. This is our published admissions number. If we have more than 330 students wanting to join us, then we apply our admissions policy to decide how we allocate our places. We have 7 criteria in our admissions policy. Our top categories are students with an education and healthcare plan, students who have been previously looked after or are looked after in care, children of staff, and any children who have been accepted by the governors under the exceptional circumstances category. Also in a high category are siblings of current students who will be at the school at the same time. The next category, which is by far our largest category, is category number 5. So students who attend one of our 6 partner schools. We then distance rank these students from their home address to the school in a straight line. The next category is category 6, and this is for students who don't fall within a higher category, and we are their nearest school. Again, this is distance ranked. And finally, category number 7 is any other applicant. Once again, this is distance ranked. Last year, we managed to offer to category 5 students who lived 5.5 kilometres away. And the previous year, we managed also to offer to category 5 students who lived up to 6.8 kilometres away. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Liz. That's brilliant. The next question is from a student, and it's a student that's worried about getting lost. Sally, is there anything you can do to put her mind at rest?
Yes, that's a very common concern amongst students, and something that I get asked a lot when we go out to the primary schools. During the induction days, each tutor group will have a couple of student leaders with them. So that's students that at that stage will be in year 10, and then they will be in year 11 in the following September. And those student leaders stay with the class throughout the day. They come into your lessons with you, they show you where to go for each lesson, and they meet and greet you at the end of break and lunchtime. You'll also do some activities to help you find your way around the site. And then when you're with us in the September, your class will be taught together as a tutor group. So when you're moving from lesson to lesson, you'll be moving as 30 students going together. And if for whatever reason you are separated from the rest of your group, you may ask anybody who will help you find where you need to go. If you prefer to ask staff, then you're welcome to do that. And our student leaders are the ones that wear black jumpers, so they're also a good source of support. So hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better about that. Okay, thanks, Tom.
Cheers, Sally, that's great. The next one is for Jackie Sharman. It says, I've heard that you're a very academic focused school. How do you nurture more creative subjects?
Okay. So we basically give students an opportunity in 7-8 to do all subjects. So they can get a real feel of the arts, the drama, the dance, the DT, the music. They then have an opportunity to opt for them at the end for the start of year 9. By doing 4 option choices, it means that actually they can still keep a very balanced and broad curriculum, including the arts. So students can, opt for GCSE dance, GCSE music, etc., etc. We have loads of extracurricular clubs too, and obviously a big part of those are the creative subjects. Other opportunities are we have productions every year. We have a Key Stage 3 production, a Key Stage 4 production, and a musical production. And we're very inclusive. We like to have as many people in the productions as possible. So from, often range from about 100 to 150. So we really do embrace the arts, and it's really, well-attended clubs and really, good GCSE pickup in the option subjects for the arts.
Thanks, Jackie. The next question is, are you able to create your own club at Weydon? Are children or students allowed to create their own clubs? And yes, the answer is yes. The clubs are designed to push you and to engage you and to give you the chance to go beyond the classroom. So if you're passionate about something, we want to hear about it. Our student leaders will also run a wide variety of clubs, but anyone can do it. So if you want to come in and do it, we would love to hear your voice on what you want to do. Yeah, that's a great question. The next one is for Jackie again. Should schools go back to remote learning? So if schools were to go back into remote learning, how will Weydon provide online learning and how will you support the children?
Okay, so we have basically a pro forma for remote learning, and it goes something like at 8:40 we will start with a live tutor session. So the students will be registered and they will have an opportunity to engage with their tutors. We will then follow the normal school timetable, period 1, 2, etc. 50% of each of the lessons will be instructions from the teacher, and it'll either be via live Zoom or recorded Zoom. And then the teacher will make themselves available for the remainder of the lesson, where they'll be available on Google Classroom or on the chat facility on Zoom to answer any questions for the students that the students might have and to give them feedback. Alongside all of that, I know that the last lockdown for some was a very isolating experience. We worked really hard as a school to introduce quizzes, sports days, fun activities to keep everybody going. And we would obviously do that again. So yes, that's how we would do our remote learning.
Thanks, Jackie. This is a question for Louise. The question is, what buildings are there? And I think maybe to expand on that, what facilities do we have for them and potentially direct into the video?
Well, yes, I mean, definitely look at the video, which does sort of a beautiful tour around our school. Our school is going to seem enormous, but actually it isn't. It's just very spaced out. So if I work my way round, we've got obviously a full suite of science labs, which are really inspiring for people to learn their science. A science club is run through that as well. I sometimes am allowed to teach in there if I'm a good girl. And then we move around to under what we call the O1. And under the O1, we've got access to Keller, which is where we base our SEND support. Above that is Romero, and that's where you have PSHE. And then at the back of that, you've got our music department, which is always got lots of sounds coming out of it all times of day and night, which is wonderful. To your right then of there, you've got MFL, which is where our modern foreign languages are taught. And then if you head over to somewhere called the Globe, so the Globe is probably one of the biggest buildings, and that's where we host English and the humanities, so your history, your geography and your RE. And that's also where the LRC is, so that's where our lovely library is, where we can sit and read peacefully. The library looks out onto a building called the Medici. Now the Medici is a fantastic building. It's got a full theatre in there. It's also got a space to do some drama workshops as well. It's very creative, and above it is our art department with our art studio. And there is some phenomenal work that we get to showcase from our students. You go past there, and behind there you've got many sports facilities. Weydon does not lack in sporting facilities. Tennis court, netball courts, Astros, cricket pitches, rounders pitches, you name it, we've got it. And that heads over to the maths department, which is my favourite department because I teach maths. And we've got Fermat and Vasari, very interesting buildings if you're interested in architecture. One of them is very sustainable, built on sustainable model. You go through there and then you head through to the sports hall, which has also got a fitness suite, which sometimes you might catch some of the teachers in after school trying to make themselves a little bit fitter. And then if you head back and then you head towards my other favourite department, which is the computing and business block, where you can learn to code. And I'm a girl and I love coding, which is very geeky. So I'm looking out for lots more girls who like to code as well as the boys. And then you head back into the main original building, which has got our DT department, which has got food, and it allows to DT and textiles and child development. And then we head right back to the beginning of the building and in our main halls where we often have our dance lessons taking place. So hopefully that gives you a flavour of our school.
Thanks, Louise. This is a question for Jackie, and I think it's come up from a number of students. What foreign languages are available to learn? What can we offer here?
Okay, so we offer French and Spanish, and we've just introduced to our Year 9s a German offering, which is very popular. But also, if you have a language that you speak at home and you would like to take a GCSE in it, we do a lot to accommodate those GCSE subjects. So, it might be Polish or Russian or one of those subjects, and you have an opportunity to sit your GCSE in those subjects too.
Thanks, Jackie. And the next question is, how much are we expected to spend on uniform overall? I'm concerned about the cost. Can you get second-hand items to help ease the cost? Jackie.
Okay, so uniform is always a time, where parents I know are very concerned because it's a big outlay. We're very, very competitive. So Brenda's our supplier. We've done a lot of work with other suppliers and compared costs in other schools, and our costs are really, very, very competitive. I would say it's around about the £100 mark, I would say. And yes, there are opportunities to purchase second-hand uniform, and we do that through our school, through the office. So you need to just get in contact with us if that is an issue.
Thanks, Jackie. The next one's from a student, and I've seen it pop up from a number of students this evening. This one's for Sally. How much home learning?
I'm wondering if you're asking this because you're getting worried. Certainly there is a big step up between home learning that you do in your primary schools and the home learning that we ask for you at Weydon. We expect you to get 2 to 3 pieces of home learning every night and to spend between 30 and 45 minutes on each piece of home learning. Now, because that is such a big change, you do need to plan well. And the best advice anybody will give you is to try and complete your home learning as soon as it is set. So on the day it is set. Sometimes that's not possible. You might have an activity that you do that evening, but you will always have a week to complete your home learning. So making sure that you organise your time well is a really good idea. And if you do it nice and early, if you do have any problems with it, you have time to talk to the teacher or to talk to other students about any problems that you might have. Some students can spend a little bit too long on their home learning, and that's where we ask for parents to help. If your child is spending up to an hour on a piece of home learning, we'd like you to get them to put a stop to it, to actually say that's too long, and just let the teacher know by a note in the planner or something like that, because we don't want to stress people out with the amount of home learning that they are getting. I hope that puts your mind at rest, and I'm sure you're going to be fantastically organised and get all of your home learning done. Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, it'll be all right once you get into it. The next one is a question from Harry, who's in year 6. Hi, Harry. It says, will there be any sports equipment during break times? We do hand out a bit of sports equipment. In the summer, we'll hand out tennis rackets, tennis balls. We do hand out footballs and stuff in the winter on a normal year. We also encourage you guys to bring in your own stuff. So when the field's open, we want you to bring in footballs and stuff you can play with. But even more than that, we offer a wide variety of sports clubs at lunchtimes. So we would love, if you're a keen sports person, for you to get along to those organised clubs and really be challenging yourself. So hopefully that answers your question, Harry. The next one is a question for Matt. And this is, do you offer, later down the line, maybe an astronomy option?
I noticed that came from somebody called Mark B, which makes me wonder because Mark Brightwell is our GCSE astronomy teacher. But yes, we do. We do. A couple of years now we've been running it. GCSE astronomy is one of the other new GCSEs that we brought in to expand the range of subjects, but also to stretch and challenge. It's quite in high demand. I think they've got 2 classes running pretty much all the way through at the moment. So yes, it's very exciting, and we look forward to seeing what their results will be this year. Thanks,
Matt.
Tom.
Thank you. The next question is for Jackie, and it's what year, so in what year group do you have to purchase an iPad? And it says in a normal year there.
So we've just introduced the purchase of the iPad from year 7 onwards. It was previous years from sort of year 8 from after the autumn term. But what we've decided is it's such a valuable resource for the classroom. So we use it for a communication device from home and school. It's an assessment and a feedback tool. It's a research tool. It's a very, very valuable tool. Obviously, it's been really, really well utilised during lockdown, and we basically know that from a lot of students who had to share devices when they were trying to access things like live Zooms and recorded Zooms, and they were having to share a device in their home with maybe their siblings, that often caused problems. So basically, we've been promoting iPads from year 7 onwards to obviously help that, but also to further develop learning and outcomes in the classroom. Thank you.
Cheers, Jackie. This is actually a separate question, but related to that one. It says they've been handed out in year 7 rather than year 8 as in previous years. Will it be repeated? Can you confirm in 21-22?
I think, yes, we will repeat it. Not just because of the pandemic, but just because it's such a valuable resource to the students in the classroom, and our staff are fully trained on the use of iPads to complement learning, and you know it really does improve student outcomes and progress. So yes, from this point forward, I envisage us doing year 7 iPads right from the start.
Thank you, Jackie. The next one's one for Louise, and it's, do you have any LSAs that are ELSA trained, ELSA trained?
We do have a few of our LSAs who are ELSA trained, but we also have our school counsellors as well. I know they do slightly different roles. We are looking to develop that further in the next year because we are expanding our LSA team at the moment. So yes, there will be ELSA and counsellors available to support children with their learning.
Thanks very much, Louise. The next question is for Jackie, and I think Matt, feel free to jump in as well on this. So it's about feeder schools. Is there a plan for Waverley Abbey to come off the feeder partner school list within the next few years? Jackie, if I start with you, if that's all right.
There are no plans to take Waverley Abbey off at this moment in time off of our partner schools, no.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Next, we've got a question for Louise again. And this one is there a teaching assistant in each tutor group?
Okay. Sorry about that. No. And the reason for that is when you move from primary to secondary school, we're starting to train the students to become more independent. And our teachers are fully versed in being able to teach to a diverse range of students because we're subject specialists. The only time that we would have some form of teaching support in the classroom is if this child or a group of children have got additional needs, and therefore they would require somebody maybe to scribe for them or to help them interpret the work. All of our staff are fully trained in how to support SEND children and any child that has additional needs. So no, when you move to secondary school, you don't tend to have teacher support assistants. Thank you.
Louise, this is a question for Matt Benton. It's about GCSEs, so thinking a little bit down the line. Do all schools spend 3 years on GCSEs, or is it just Weydon? And if so, then why?
Thank you for that question, Tom. About 41% of state secondary schools in England follow the same model we do, which is a 2-year Key Stage 3, 3-year Key Stage 4. All those schools would do it for 2 different reasons, but primarily we do it for 2 fundamental reasons. Number one, we know we're very lucky to have a cohort of students that come into us that are academically very able. So by doing a 3-year Key Stage 4 model, we are able to stretch and challenge them and to encourage them to study a far greater range of GCSE subjects than they would normally do. So if you look at some schools that only have a 2-year model at Key Stage 4, they might only be doing 3 GCSE options, whereas we're able to offer 4. And of course, that then means that they're able to study a whole range of subjects and take a whole range of courses that perhaps if they only took 3 GCSEs, they might not necessarily take. It works exceptionally well for our students, but it's not necessarily the right thing for all schools. Thank you, Tom.
Cheers, Matt. This is a question for Jackie Sharman about science. Do you provide combined science or 3 separate sciences?
Okay, so as a passionate scientist, that's a good question. We do both. The majority of our students do the 3 separate sciences. So that's biology, chemistry and physics, but we do offer combined science. And basically, if you do combined science and then think, oh, I would like to do an A-level subject, you can still do A-levels if you've done a combined science course. We tend to do 2 tiers of combined, higher and foundation. And if you're going to do A-level, obviously you'd need to be doing the higher combined. But yes, we do both.
Thanks, Jackie. Louise, this is a question from a student, a year 6 student called Lottie. And Lottie wants to know, how many lessons do you do in a single day, and maybe a little bit about the structure of the day as well with that.
Hello, Lottie. I can imagine that you're wondering, gosh, how many teachers am I going to see in one day? So what will happen is that you'll arrive at school by 8:40 and then you will go to your tutor base. So that's the 2 tutors that Sally was talking about earlier. They'll set you up for the day and you'll register. And then at 9 o'clock, you'll head over to your first lesson. Now, every lesson is 50 minutes long. And you do tend to move from place to place to place. So you get the full experience of secondary where you'll go to their specialist teaching spaces. Don't worry, you won't get lost. And there's plenty of people to help you. So there'll be lesson 1, lesson 2, and then you have a 20-minute break. At break time, you can go anywhere in the school that you like. We tend to encourage you to go outside, get some fresh air, have a snack, and get yourselves ready for the next lesson. Period 3 and period 4 are also 50-minute lessons. And then you have lunchtime. And at lunchtime, you've got the opportunity to go and join any extracurricular clubs, go and get some lunch, or just sit down and catch up with your friends that you might not have seen for a couple of lessons. Then we go straight into period 5, which is a 1-hour lesson, and then into period 6, which is then a 50-minute lesson. And you may be doing literally 6 different subjects in one day, which actually is really exciting. And then once you get to the end of your school day, we finish at 3:20, and then you take yourself off home and do your homework. So that's our school day.
Thanks, Louise. And the next question is, do you have a reward system? And if so, what is it? So first of all, yes, we do. It's called the Character of Success, and it's based around 10 character strengths. And the idea that we are trying to develop and promote these character strengths and foster those and your development in those. We reward based on those. So if you show them or you demonstrate those in lessons or outside of lessons, then you will get rewarded for those. But it's about everything. It's about the whole school focused around making sure that when you guys leave, you're in the best place to go into society possible to be as successful as you can be. Thank you. The next one. Assuming we are COVID-free in 21-22. Yeah, hopefully. If we are, what type of trips or activities can we expect for our children? I'll pass that one to Jackie Sharman.
Okay, so all sorts of trips, and so we start off with a team building trip in year 7 to Avon Tyrrell. We do a residential in year 8 to France to do sort of adventures, but also to experience the wonderful battlefields. We then have trips all over the world. So we might have sports tours in this country, theatre trips, which are part of activities weeks, science museums in this country, but also things like art, drama and textiles in New York, in Germany, history, in geography, might go to Iceland and Sicily, music tours to Lake Garda and Paris, science trips to Florida and NASA, you name it, we do it. Languages in Europe, there's all sorts of trips. And the biggest thing is trying to decide which ones to go on. And we also go to Sri Lanka and Ghana as well.
Yeah, so much there. Thank you, Jackie. This is a question for Louise now. It's from a parent. Do you offer an inclusive environment for children with SEND? And then the second part is, how do you achieve this?
So Weydon is all about inclusion. We do have a space where students can go to do their one-to-one or small group interventions, which is called Keller. But we're very much about quality first teaching in the classroom. And that means we want to make sure that our children who've got certain needs are at the heart and at the middle of everything that we plan in our lessons. It's a massive drive for us. We're always aspiring to do better. We're always aspiring to become more knowledgeable. And we're very lucky. We have a huge LSA team that actually help us as teachers get it right. We're very knowledgeable about our students because we have the IT infrastructure to find out more. And no child should feel segregated or excluded. We have some fantastic sporting activities that we run for our physically disabled, and we've actually got a young man who I think, Tom, is the national boccia. I know how to play it, I just don't know how to say it. Champion, and he's in the team, and he puts me to shame every single time I try and have a go at it. And it's all about what can we do more. We never sit still. We're striving to be better all the time. And, you know, if children do need some respite, if they're finding they're a bit overwhelmed, we've got a very strong SEND team who will make sure that we're getting things right for them or allow them a little bit of respite before we take them back to be part of their group of friends and peers. So yes, we're a fully inclusive school. Thank you.
Thanks, Louise. The next one, important question. This is from Lennon in year 5, and I'm sure he's asking a question that loads of you want to know out there. It says, do you have a canteen? How do lunches work? Do you have school dinners? Do we have to bring a packed lunch? So Lennon, love where your head's at. Yes, we have a restaurant, and our restaurant serves meals, hot meals, and a variety on different days. We then also serve hot food and sandwiches as well as snacks. On top of the restaurant, separate to the restaurant, we have 3 other food points, and you can buy takeaway stuff from there as well as some hot food to take away as well. So yeah, we hope we've got that covered for you, Lennon. You shouldn't go hungry here. Next up, this one's for Sally. This is about the 2 college model. So logistically, how does it work with the 2 colleges on site? Do the River children do any lessons or sports with the Castle children?
Okay, so within year 7, students will either be part of River College or part of Castle College, and each college is headed up by a PAL, a Progress and Achievement Leader, and they have a team of tutors that work with them to provide that pastoral support. It also provides support on a difference on a timetabling basis. So the tutor groups at River will do their English lessons at the same time, and will do their maths lessons at the same time. So if there are pathways, then it is likely that the River students will be mixed across their tutor groups but within River, and the Castle students will remain within Castle. And that's purely because we can't have 11 maths lessons happening at the same time, so we have to segregate them to a certain extent. As students move up the school, they will stay in either River or Castle, and as they take their GCSE options, then their class is likely to have students from both River and Castle. So my business studies classes have both River and Castle students in year 9, 10 and 11. One of the other advantages of the 2 college model is that when students want to be part of sports, activities, outside the curriculum and want to play and represent Weydon, we are able to offer twice as many teams because we'll have a team for River and a team for Castle. So we'll have 2 netball teams, 2 boys football teams, and many other sports, too many to list. And on top of those, we also, in a number of sports, will have an academy team, which takes the best from the whole school and may enter district and national competitions. So you do predominantly stay within your college, But obviously at break times and lunch times, you get the opportunity to socialise with all of the students, no matter what college they're in. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Sally. That's great. Big school opportunities with small school feel. This one's for Matt. What schemes are in place to support parents in meeting the financial cost of trips?
Okay, that's a very pertinent question, particularly at the moment. As a school, we take the view that nobody should be disadvantaged from any of the opportunities because of financial cost. So there's obviously the disadvantaged pupil premium school funding that the school receives, and we use a significant amount of that funding to reduce the amount of cost. We also have a separate trust fund that we set up in the school for which parents and carers can apply to, and we use that funding to help match fund the cost of some of these more expensive trips, and therefore to make them more affordable and attainable for everybody within our school. Thanks, Tom.
Cheers, Matt. The next one's for Sally again. How much interaction does the school have with parents once the children have started? So parents' evenings and things like that, I think. Okay,
parents are absolutely key to the success of our students, and we really value our partnership with you. At the beginning of the year, every year, the Progress and Achievement leaders, the directors of Key Stage, run a parent information evening where they set out their focus for the year. And that's often followed by lots of individual questions and answers. We have parent consultation evenings once a year following one of the grade sheets. And that gives you the opportunity to speak to each of your child's teachers. For a 5-minute meeting with each of them. And one of the things that's different about parent consultations at Weydon than what you're used to in your primary schools is that we encourage the children to come along too. So don't be surprised to come with your children. Alongside that, we have 3 progress days a year, which are predominantly aimed at your child and setting targets for the future, but we welcome your involvement in those as well. But most importantly is the relationship between the family and the form tutor. So if at any point you've got any concerns about your child, please do contact the form tutor, because they're going to be your main point of contact and will be able to help sort out any problems. They also will contact you if they've got any concerns of anything that's happening in school. So very much a 3-way partnership, and we really, really do appreciate your support. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Sally. That's great. I'm going to be coming straight back to you. Parents, just quickly, we are coming very close to the end, so probably on to our last few questions now. I've got a big pile of questions here that we haven't been able to get through, but we'll just go for this last 2 for now. So Sally, this is from students. So this is from Molly and Lily, and their question is, will twins be separated? And I think they're talking about tutor groups, classes, colleges.
Rather than Siamese twins. What we do is that you would, like all siblings, you would remain in the same college. So you would both be in Castle College or you would both be in River College, but we would predominantly put you in different tutor groups. As you go up the school, you might end up in the same pathway, or you might both change the same option and therefore end up in the same classes. But to start with, you would be in different tutor groups, and many of your lessons are for just your tutor group. So you are unlikely to be with your twin at that case, in that instance.
Hopefully you're all right with that answer, girls. This is the last question of the evening. So this is for Jackie. Nice question. Parents said, what do you put the academic success of the school down to?
Okay, so I'm a little bit biased because I have been at Weydon for 20 years. I think the success is down to some absolutely amazing staff who go above and beyond on a daily basis and are totally and utterly passionate about their subjects and about their roles within the school. I also think we're very fortunate because we have an amazing group of students who really are sort of hungry for learning and, you know, want to go that little extra mile. So, for example, you ask them to come in on a Saturday morning to help out with an event, and they're there, they're helping. And also we've got very, very supportive parents that help us in partnership, and governors also. I think for us, it's about making the students be the best versions of themselves, you know, not just sort of giving them the academic ability, but also growing them and developing them as people. And basically, I think that our core vision is around inspiring minds, and it's based around some core values. So believe that you can achieve and you will do so. Creating that sense of belonging, that sense of community, and not only caring about your own performance, but caring about the performance of others. And all of that together, I think, creates a fantastic environment, an environment with high expectations and high aspirations. And that's why we're successful with the outcomes that we have.
Thanks, Jackie. Sorry, apologies. We are going to have to stop there. We have run out of time and in fact run over. If you've got any questions we didn't manage to get to today, please do feel free to email us. I know Matt's put it on the chat, but admissions@wadenschool.surrey.sch.uk. If not on there, then you can look on the website and details we posted as well as the videos. This was our fourth and final Zoom of the evening. So I think it's just right before I pass back to our principal, just to say a couple of quick thank yous. Kathy Lockett and Janine Roger in the background working away to make sure this works. And then Libby Edmonds and Keith Adams, who have made sure all of this technology works for us teachers who aren't necessarily as comfortable as we should be with it. So thank you to all of those, and I'll pass you back to Jackie Sharman.
Yes, we've really enjoyed the questions this evening, and thank you for attending the Q&A session. I know that choosing a secondary school is a really big decision, and hopefully this Q&A session has really helped. Just to remind you that if you haven't had an opportunity to look at our videos, they are on our website. So it's a presentation from myself, the head boy and head girl, and also a tour of the school to see our wonderful facilities. By the prospectus, there's also another video to watch. It's a day in the life of two of our wonderful students, really sort of showcasing the school and the subjects throughout a day for the students. And I would really, really recommend for the students to watch that video. So thank you very much for attending this evening. Have a really good evening.